and also probably a warning to that everybody needs to, since we're outside, it's beautiful and it's cool, but it is a little hard to hear unless you speak up. So that's a clue to you. I met Jose first time, I believe, at Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
At the conference of the International Society for Individual Liberty. And I guess I met you again at Puerto Vallarta and the World Tolerance Society meeting in Tokyo just recently. Jose is a renowned scholar from a university in Venezuela, graduating MIT too. He's an expert on petroleum economics and has consulted a number of very prominent oil companies around, especially in Latin America. But his numerous books and his outspokenness tended to get him into trouble with the Chavez administration. He was just telling me in the car on the way over here that everyone who voted in the electronic election, if you voted against Hugo Chavez, it was recorded. It was not secret. Your name was recorded, and you were denied any kinds of government jobs or contracts, and you were in trouble. He faced a couple of death threats, which gave him some thought about possibly leaving Venezuela, and a good opportunity did come up in Japan, where he was working through METI and JETRO in the think tanks of economic research there. And he has a very wide range of specialties and interests, especially futurology and the whole future speculation about the world economies. So there's no better person for us to have with us today than Jose. I'm really glad. Also, I'll mention at this point too, he is also speaking at the Reason Club on Wednesday between 3:30 and 5 at the HBU campus. So I can give you information about that if you want to hear more. So with that,
at the Grassroots Institute.
Oh, that's right. He's giving a luncheon presentation at the Wednesday, the Calabash. That's in the morning. But also there's something at the Oahu Country Club on Tuesday at noon. So 3 more events you can hear him. But those cost. Well, not the Reason Club, but the others.
Calabash is free now.
Oh, it is?
Used to charge me, now it's free.
Oh, okay.
At the Pacific Club, and it's good breakfast. So
Okay, good. Okay, so why don't you welcome Jose Cortez.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, and the same to you, Ken. As he said, we have known each other for about 10 years. I think it was 1998 when we met in Costa Rica for the International Society for Individual Liberty. So that was a great meeting of all these intellectuals, and his presentation and mine were the best. So we became friends. But anyway, I do want to congratulate you for this kind of activity, because this is very important. I was also a university professor in my home country, Venezuela, and I would try to organize things also once a month to get young people, with middle-aged people, with more experienced people to talk about all these issues. So this is very important, and this is what actually Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich von Hayek did themselves, first in Vienna, then in Austria and the USA. As you probably know, the Foundation for Economic Education, also in upstate, well, actually north of New York City, was one of the first think tanks in the USA on economic issues, and they have wonderful summer university programs. Well, they are, I think, like 2 weeks long. Also, Cato Institute has similar things. So for some of the university students, this is a great opportunity for you. I took the FEE, Foundation for Economic Education, 2-week summer course, and it's really a great opportunity. So I encourage that you do that, especially if you don't know much about free market economics and all of that. Like, I did not know about that before. As he said, I got my first degree at MIT in engineering. So in engineering, we don't learn too much about economics, even though I did my minor in economics, and I had some good professors, including Paul Krugman. Paul Krugman, at the time, I graduated from MIT in '83. my bachelor's and then my master's in '84. He was teaching at MIT. Now he's at Princeton University. But anyway, Paul Krugman, in what he did in economics, is actually good. But when he talks about politics, he doesn't know where he is. He's really kind of lost. But Paul Krugman did do some good research on trade and geography at some point 25 years ago. He won the Nobel Prize for that, not for his terrible comments on politics. So anyway, at MIT I didn't know about economics even, and I took courses with Paul Krugman, and there were people like Paul Samuelson and many other top economists, Rudiger Dornbusch, who died a few years ago. And anyway, none of them ever mentioned Hayek or Ludwig von Mises. It was really incredible. I first heard about them 5 years later in Georgetown University, because I had a professor from Latvia, George Vigsnins. I don't know if he teaches there because that was 20 years ago. So anyway, George Vigsnins, he actually knew Hayek, and he knew how he was the advisor of Margaret Thatcher in the United Kingdom. So he talked about the transformation of the United Kingdom from being a very socialized economy to a more free market economy, and the big transformations that happened in the United Kingdom, and at the same time in the USA with Ronald Reagan. So those were very interesting times, the 1980s, big changes in the USA, in the United Kingdom, and in other countries. So that opened my eyes, because I am from Venezuela, originally from South America, and in South America people love Che Guevara, people love Fidel Castro, and all these totalitarian communist dictators. It is really sad. And I grew up, also liking Fidel Castro, because this is the culture, and the students at the university, they all have, the Che Guevara t-shirts, so I kind of like that too. So. But then I did an internship actually in Vienna. I worked for the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, which is in Vienna. And then from Vienna, this was 1984, from Vienna, I went to the Eastern Bloc countries. And then I actually visited Berlin, which was West Berlin and East Berlin. And that really showed me that there was a problem with communism. Because Berlin, first of all, was divided, but second, West Berlin was very advanced, modern, you could find anything. And East Berlin was very poor, and there was nothing. There was no chocolate in East Berlin. And I love chocolate, I love bananas, there were no bananas. So I realized that